Hello and welcome back to the channel, David's Insight. So I recently decided to check out the new My Hero Academia spin-off series titled My Hero Academia, Vigilantes. Now before I get straight into it, I would like you to know that I'm an anime-only fan and I'm coming into the show without any knowledge from the manga. So without further ado, now that I've gotten that out of the way, I'm now going to head on into the episode. Episode 1 of My Hero Academia Vigilantes is titled, I'm Here. So the episode kicks off on a sunny day in Narahata, where a massive villain is rampaging through the streets before chewing on a motorcycle to satiate his uncontrollable hunger. From the rooftops, the number one hero, All Might, swoops down and slams the villain into the ground with a single Detroit smash. The surrounding civilians are in awe of the hero's strength and charisma, including 19-year-old college student named Koichi Himawari, who is basically your average, relatable main character with a mediocre quirk which already points out a clear and different perspective to that of the original show. As All Might picks up the downed criminal and soars off into the sky with a mighty jump, Koichi then runs off to try and make it to school on time. As he turns into an alley, he bumps into a trio of thugs. Their leader, Soga, then pours the soda he was drinking on the ground and pins it on Koichi, before ordering the student to grovel on his feet and apologize. Koichi does just that, which causes his associates, Moyoru and Rap, to laugh at his lack of a backbone. Soga then walks up to kick Koichi in the head, before Koichi slides back towards the open street using his quirk, Slide and Glide, which allows Koichi to move along a surface by sliding across it as long as he touches it in at least 3 places. He then flees from the angry thugs by sliding on the sidewalk. Bystanders comment on the slow speed and insufficiency of his quirk and refer to Koichi as a cockroach. Later that evening, Koichi stumbles into a crowd watching a singing performance by Popstep. As she sings and bounces around using her leap quirk, Koichi notes how much the girl shines with her performance and quirk, despite him not being too impressed with her singing or the fact that she conceals her face with lots of makeup. The young man then leaves since he's running late for work, as he remarks at how people tend to admire those they look up to and do the opposite with anyone below that pedestal. Koichi eventually makes it to his cashier job at a convenience store, though he gets his pay docked for the missing time. Just then, the group of thugs from earlier walk through the doors, dragging Koichi out the building and into another alley as payback for running. Soga pins Koichi to the fence and threatens him by brandishing a set of spikes from his fist, before he and Rap toss him to the ground and kick him repeatedly. Koichi later walks home, feeling bitter by his beating and the fact that the police haven't been keeping up with arresting people like them. He then decides he's going to try that out tonight. Once he makes it back home, he throws on an All Might hoodie, black underclothes, sneakers, leather gloves, and a face mask, before heading out into the night using Slide and Glide. Now this may just be a minor detail, but I admire the fact that Koichi wears an All Might hoodie, which I'm pretty sure is later going on to be his main vigilante costume, as this really points out the impact All Might had on many beyond Izuku Midoriya, not just in terms of saving them but how he influenced them to what they become. Another example would be Star and Stripe, also from the former show. Koichi proceeds to go around the city helping several civilians with small problems like returning dropped objects and giving directions, since doing good deeds for people using his quirk lifts his spirits. He's been doing this so long that people start recognizing his nighttime persona, referring to him as nice guy for all the help he's given them. Koichi decides to take a break and is then stopped by arresting Popstep in an alley, who offers him a bottle of soda and says she recognizes him as the cockroach guy picking up all the litter on the streets. The girl asks if he's trying to do an All Might cosplay with the lame hoodie he's wearing, which he confirms since he's trying to imitate the man in order to be useful to society. Koichi starts to leave, but not before thanking the girl for the drink and advising her not to get too carried away with her idol persona so the police won't try and catch her. Pop starts to get riled up at Koichi's comment about her work and then accidentally taps Soga on the cheek, who has suddenly appeared behind the two in the alley along with his cronies, which their sudden appearance was very random, but anyways. Soga and Moyuri grab her wrists and throw her against a wall, as they recognize Pop from her revealing costume and her reputation online for the performances she does in it. Soga then forcefully squishes her cheeks while insinuating that her makeup makes her look like a villain, as the girl screams that she doesn't reveal her face to the public. Moyuri threatens to take pictures of her unobscured face and post them on the internet for her defiance. Behind them, Koichi is gently telling them to stop their behavior, which only angers the three as they tell the boy to get lost as their business with Pop has nothing to do with him. As Koichi begins to leave, he stops and sees the terrified face of the girl being harassed. Now something about this scene rubbed me the wrong way. Koichi saw this woman being harassed by men and was going to walk away. I'm not saying he had to fight but maybe run to yell for help, but at the same time I do get that it was genuinely not his business, and hey, I guess not every character has to be like Midoriya who saves people without thought. I also don't fully understand Popstep's character. Throughout this episode, she is mostly used as a damsel in distress. I guess you could say she is part of the motivation in them becoming vigilantes, but I'll get to that later. The young man eventually then moves in to try and help her, as he tries using a sneak attack on Moyuri's leg using slide and glide. Unfortunately, the move does nothing, and Moyuri picks up Koichi by his hoodie and tosses him aside. Soga moves in and kicks Koichi in the face with a spike protruding shoe and asks why the guy they just beat up is trying to play hero and meddle where he doesn't need to. The man then proclaims that he'll give Koichi in the store he works in more than a light beating with his spike quirk, and afterward he and his crew will strip down Popstep and upload naked photos of her online. These guys are truly insufferable and sick. Their actions are really uncalled for. Koichi asks him why he's going that far, and Soga angrily replies that it's simply because he's an annoying brat who got him angry. What a dumb justification for his cruel action. As Popstep screams for the police, Rapt mockingly asks why she's not calling for a hero instead and does an impression of her calling for All Might to save her. Soga corners Koichi and moves in to punch him in the face with his spiked hand, as the college student accepts that someone like All Might won't fall in from the sky to help them at this moment. Just then, a large man in a trench coat, brass knuckles, and a bandana jumps from above and into a heap of trash bags. The man kicks off some of the bags and confirms that All Might isn't here to save them, because he's here instead. After walking off the heavy fall thanks to the trash cushioning it and some well-trained body placement, the man then strikes Soga in the face with a powerful punch and sends him flying into the ground. The other two thugs ask who he is and what he's doing. The man calls himself Knuckle Duster, and he specializes in cleaning up the streets from trash like them. In quick succession, Knuckle Duster knocks the other two hoodlums out and then checks their tongues for an unknown reason. Immediately, Knuckle Duster was growing on me as I was watching. The trope of his character seemed familiar. Koichi tries to leave out of fear that he'll get beat up next, but Knuckle Duster stops the boy and offers to turn him into a hero if he can help him in his work, as he sees promise in him. Koichi tries to deny his interests in being a hero, but the older man calls him out for lying since he looks up to All Might and enjoys helping people. Koichi starts to admit it but says he doesn't have a strong enough quirk to help him work up into getting a hero license. Knuckle Duster detests the idea of needing powerful quirks and proper certifications to be a hero, as all that matters is one's ability to take action when something needs to be dealt with. Koichi freezes as he realizes the man is a vigilante, a person who uses their quirks to do good outside of legal oversight. The two then turn to see Popstep grabbed by an injured Soga, who threatens to slice the girl's face up using his spikes. Seeing Pop cry out for help and remembering Knuckle Duster's earlier assertion, Koichi's instinct kicks in, and he slides into Soga while tackling him into the ground. Knuckle Duster praises Koichi for his actions, as he properly finishes off Soga with another punch and sends him flying into the trash pile. The vigilante checks his tongue too and says he's not the type of person he's looking for. Knuckle Duster once again offers Koichi the chance to train under him to be a hero and learn how satisfying it is to punch a villain in the face. Koichi once again nervously declines, as he can only think about how much crazier he is than those hoodlums instead of the fact that he saved him. After the three leave, Soga and his crew walk off into the city while cursing their defeat. In the middle of the road, they are approached by a man in a ponytail and a bold scar on his face. Soga asks what he wants, as the man offers them 3 vials containing something he says will help them. The three then inject the substance into their bodies, which causes their physiology and quirks to transform, and motivates them to wreak havoc in the city. At Koichi's house, Knuckle Duster explains that he's hunting down the source of a quirk-enhancing drug called Trigger that's been going around the city. When someone uses it, the narcotic causes their quirks to grow more powerful at the cost of their sense of reason, turning them into instant villains. Koichi asks why they shouldn't just let the heroes and police deal with them, to which Knuckle Duster explains that they can't since Trigger users tend to pop up suddenly in heavily populated areas, making them difficult for regular Crime Stoppers to handle. The man says the duty falls on people like him and Koichi and asks the student to help him take down villains and check their tongues in the hope of finding the source of the drug, since a side effect of using trigger is a user's tongue turning black. Knuckleduster then promises to hunt down and inspect the tongues of anyone they find while beating up those who don't comply, which Koichi writes off as the man joking with him. Knuckleduster is very much insistent on his threats, as the next evening he's accosting random civilians while Koichi hangs onto him in his night costume. The three are then reunited with Popstep, who asks what they're doing. Koichi tells her the situation and says that he's only following Knuckleduster to make sure he doesn't get into too much trouble. Pop criticizes the older man's blind methods of tracking down his targets and advises him to look up key phrases online relating to random villain pop-ups to try and narrow down his search pool. Knuckleduster completely ignores her in favor of approaching a salaryman with a briefcase walking down the street. The man drops his briefcase from the commotion, and the container pops open to reveal 3 hero figurines, as he says he works for a toy company. I do in fact agree with Knuckleduster, as I believe there was something shady going on with that guy. And I think there's more to those toys than meets the eye. Knuckleduster wants to hit him anyway to make sure he's telling the truth, but is then stopped by a cloth stringing up his wrist. A tired voice then asks if the vigilante is one of those instant villains that have been crawling around everywhere these days, as the three turn to see the erasure hero, Eraserhead. It was refreshing to see Aizawa, and it was a good closure to the episode. Now that I've broken down the episode, I'm going to share my thoughts about the episode and what I think of the show thus far. Now, the premise of MHA Vigilantes presents opportunities for a darker, scarier, morally ambiguous atmosphere and adaptation to the original show. The season's ongoing storyline about Knuckleduster's mission to locate a dangerous quirk-boosting drug called Trigger makes Vigilantes feel more akin to a gritty cop or detective drama instead of a school series. The original My Hero Academia series grows progressively darker with each season as its characters mature, while MHA Vigilantes can start at a bleak baseline and then push its storytelling into even greater disarray. It's a smart way for the spin-off anime to take advantage of its built-in fandom instead of telling a lighter story that may now skew too young for them. Vigilantes are unlicensed heroes who aren't held to the same standards as pro heroes, but this also means that they don't have any of the same protections. Characters like Koichi, Popstep, and Knuckleduster have more to lose since their actions are unsanctioned. Furthermore, I do also enjoy the character designs and how the animation is adapted to be brighter, more colorful, and fluid to that of the original show, which balances out the overall grim tone of the show. With all this being said, the execution of this episode was quite poor, mid at best. The episode had a weird structure to it, in my opinion. I do believe the character Popstep is abruptly introduced, and I don't really get her motivation to become a vigilante. You could say because she was attacked by those thugs, but she was clearly scared for her life during that scene. So realistically, why would she want anything to do with these people? But as the season progresses, they're most likely to flesh out and develop her character more. Koichi is quite average, nothing too special. He also needs to go through character development. However, as I said earlier, I do really enjoy the character of Knuckleduster. Everything about him, from his whole gimmick to his design to his voice actor, sits right with me. Anyways, overall I found the episode to be decent, which is why I'm giving the episode a 6.5 out of 10. The next episode looks promising. We will meet Koichi's hero name, the Crawler, which suits him very well. And I am really excited to see where they'll take the show this upcoming season. We have now reached the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe, and thanks again for watching.